Welcome to Harmonize Your Life, conversations on self-care for women of color. I am your guest host tonight. I am Roz D. Bogle. Well, tonight, in celebration and honor of the 1 year anniversary for the podcast series for Harmonize Your Life, I decided to let Dr. Toni have the night off as the interviewer. So I have this auspicious task and responsibility, and but most of all, pleasure of interviewing our guest tonight. Uh, she is the dynamic force behind the self care movement. She is the co pastor of Grace Church International. She is also the CEO of My Sister's Keepers Foundation. She's also the president of Targeted Living Coaching and Consulting, the author of several books, but the most recent one being the author of Harmonize Your Life, A Journey to Self-Care. She is the wife of the great Bishop Jonathan E. Alvarado. She's a mother, sister, friend, and most of all, she is my BFF and the Ethel to my Lucy. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest tonight is Dr. Toni Alvarado. Toni.
Hello, Rosalind.
Ethel, we are so excited. Yes. So everybody's been asking about us having a talk in front of, well, they got us tonight.
The Lucy and Ethel show. Are you all ready for this? You're not ready, I promise you.
You're not ready. But we decided that we're going to be nice and, tonight. So it's good. But I'm really excited about the fact that it is the 1 year anniversary. I remember when you launched out onto this last year in the middle of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I remember the conversation that we had about it, and I was like, "Hey, girl, you do you?" and again, I'm always so proud of you because, as I said recently, you have this tenacious spirit. When you put your mind on something, there's no stopping you. So tonight, though. You are always asking the questions, and you are always having people in the other seat. So tonight, we really want to put you, or this week, or put you in the seat, and let you answer some questions for your audience and for the people that have gone on this journey with you.
Yes,
and and people that are part of this movement. So one of the first questions that I really want you to just kind of unpack and start with is the beginning.
Okay.
Take us back. Take us, and I mean beyond last year.
Oh, yeah.
From the beginning.
Yeah. So, first of all, I've been on this self-care journey for, I would say, for the past 20 years. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, on my 37th birthday, I was, and I talk about it in the book, I was burned out. I was really on the verge of collapse. Ministry, you've been with us this whole journey of ministry, but I was, we had all of the children were small. At one point, we had 3 children under the age of 3 because they're all 15 months apart. And in school, working on, I want to say, maybe my Master Divinity degree was one of those degrees.
I know, because you had what, 20?
No, 5.
So you're a relative.
I believe it was when I was in my MDiv program, though, because it was 20 years ago. And I was on the verge of collapse. And I remember that year, Bishop asked me, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I said, "A treadmill." Right?
I remember. Yeah.
Who asked for a treadmill for their birthday?
Me.
You. Right. So
no diamonds.
That's what I didn't want it. That year I wanted the treadmill because I really was on the verge of burnout.
Yeah.
And like I said, we were doing ministry at the speed of light. In school, being a mother, wife, traveling, doing ministry, but not taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And I remember quite vividly the day that I had an epiphany moment when I was in prayer, and God really showed me that for where I want to take you, you're not going to make it because you're not taking care of yourself. Right. I had gained weight. And I was always very small. You know, when you first met me, I was barely a size 6.
I saw a picture not long ago of you, and I was like, you look like a little tree. She had all this hair.
And I was like this, right?
And we all were.
I mean, through high school, I weighed 99 pounds the whole time.
Oh, yeah, you needed a sandwich.
So I was always very small coming up. But I remember I got up at one point in my life, I got up to a size 16. I don't know if you remember that, but I was wearing a size 16.
That really was after having Jonathan.
Yeah, but it was right. But it wasn't. But you know what it was? It was going to eat all that Waffle House after church.
Yep.
Going to concerts, and y'all know how we church people do. As soon as we get down to church, we got to find a restaurant. We remember we used to go to Mix.
Oh my! Remember the cheesecake?
All that, right? But that stuff caught up with me. It caught up with us. You know, we was young and we could eat whatever we wanted to eat.
Stay up all night.
But that stuff caught up with me.
Right.
And what really happened was I ended up sick and getting I was diagnosed with Graves' disease. And that is a thyroid condition that I still manage today. And when I got diagnosed with Graves' disease, then I really, really got serious about my health. But so the journey has been a journey. So I started where I was. I asked for a treadmill. I got a treadmill. Then I remember getting a membership to the YMCA up in Covington. And we got a family membership and went there. And over the years, you know, I've had a few personal trainers and things. But so that's where I started. It started with my burnout phase and then my health. And then it began to expand beyond just my weight.
Right.
So then I started looking at things like my mental health, my emotional state, my relationships, my financial life, all of that is a part of self-care, and it's a part of wellness, the wellness wheel. So when you look at the wellness wheel, there are 6 areas that we should really be healthy and whole in. Yes. So our physical health, our spiritual life. I like to start there because I feel like that's the center where I am spiritually, but then our physical health, our mental health, our financial health, our relationships, relational health, social health, and occupational wellness is another area that we should be concerned about.
Well, let me ask you this. Oftentimes, though, when people start on this journey, or they want to, but it seems so overwhelming, like you just laid out the 6 things. And I know within the book, you do go into some real detail about that, but kind of give a synopsis towards just handling those things, because it can look so overwhelming when you have to deal with the spiritual part, got to deal with the financial part. So how did you do that?
So, you know, we do this thing, you know, with MSK, we do this thing called the Wheel of Life. And, you know, it looks at those 10 key areas in your life. It's very similar to the wellness wheel. And in coaching, we tell people, and I had to do this myself. So you have to look at, where do you feel like you need to focus? Where, for me, it was my physical. I started there. Right? But for some people, it might be mental health. It might be spiritual something, or it might be finance, whatever. So you can't fix everything, and you can't focus on everything at the same time. So at different seasons in your life, you may have to give more attention to one area and less attention to another area. Thus the whole concept of harmony. Because
Mm-hmm.
harmonizing your life, which I gave up the word balance.
I was about to say, tell us about that part.
So I gave up the word harmony,
Mhm.
I mean balance, in lieu of harmony.
Okay.
And I did that because what I realized over the years, I was always trying to, you know, people would say, how do you balance it all? I tried to balance it. I would ask people, how do you balance it? And people would ask me, but balance is really an elusive concept. It's really not, it's not attainable, and it's certainly not sustainable. So when you look at balance, balance suggests that we have equal distribution of every part of our lives. But that's not the case. If you ever go, you know, I like to go to the how do you say it? Cirque du Soleil, you know. Yeah. So you see, I like to see gymnastics. You know, Ariel did gymnastics for a few years. And you see people on these balance beams and stuff, but they can't live their lives on a balance beam. That can only be done for a certain amount of time. It takes an incredible amount of strength, core strength. But so it's not realistic to live your life like that.
I hear you.
So I gave up the word balance. I trumped that word for, you know, no pun intended, for the word harmony, because harmony suggests that I can make the different parts of my life come together in the right season. I know at what season I'm in touch with who I am. I'm in touch. You know, I may have to pray and get discernment on what area, or maybe there's some red flags going off somewhere in my life, and I need to focus on that. And then it doesn't mean that I chunk everything else in my life, but how do I still make it fit? And make it work together. And so that's why I say harmony. It's like the score of music. You know, when you look at a musical score, and I use that imagery in the book, the score of music, when you look at a musical score, there's a whole lot going on the score, but it's not always, it's not going on at the same time. You know, so at certain junctures of the musical piece, there may be you speed up or you slow down, or there are points where there rest notes, half notes, whole notes, and it could be all on the same score, but it's not happening all at the same time.
And that's wonderful. You also talk about the whole superwoman piece in the book too, and that's a good segue into that, because I believe that as superwomen, we feel like we have to balance everything. So again, once you were able to move beyond that, talk to us about moving beyond that superwoman.
And that is a constant process. First of all, I don't know if we ever really get beyond it. I'm just gonna be honest. I think it's something we have to constantly be reminding ourselves of. First of all, superwoman is a myth. She does not exist. Okay, so you know, we might wear a cape, but our cape is torn, it's tattered, it's raggedy. You know what I'm saying? And you know, some of your best comfortable clothes. You know, my grandmother wore those little dusters, those little, what we call house dresses, right? You know, and I mean, they're comfortable. They cooked in them, they clean house in them, you know. But so ours may look like that, but you know, it's a myth. And the whole superwoman syndrome is where I feel like I have to do everything, or that I have to hold up the world for everyone, that I can't take a break, that if I stop, everything is going to stop, or everything is going to fall apart. And so we have to resist. You know, last week I was interviewing Dr. Keisha Thompson, and she talked about changing our narrative. And she was saying how we get our narrative come from our family of origin, the culture, even our internal dialogue. So what are we saying to ourselves that that continue to make us have to go, like we're the Energizer Bunny? And then the inner vows that we make. You know, we make inner vows like, I'm never going to trust anybody. You can't trust anybody. You can't, you know. Well, you got to trust somebody. You might not be able to trust everybody, but you have to trust somebody. You got to learn how to delegate. You got to learn when to go, when to stop, when to, you know, give attention here, give a little less attention over here, a little more over there. Or some things you just got to, what Bishop had to teach me was willful neglect.
Tell me more.
Well, you know,
or us more.
Well, and me too, because, you know, you all know me, I'm a little OCD. And I mean, you know, my kids, they get it, because, you know, I don't want to see a ditching sink. I don't want to see, you know, I want everything to be in order. Everything has its place, as Dr. Deanne Johnson would say, and in its place it should go. Right? So, but I had to know, you know how we all have those rooms in our house that ain't really together, and all we just kind of close the door. You know what I mean? We know what's in there.
You mean the guest room?
Yeah. Just keep that door closed, because you know if I go in there, I got to fix some stuff. You know, all that. You know, all that. So, but it's kind of like that. It's like just willful neglect. I don't let it worry me. I just say I'll get to that.
Right.
I don't have to do it today. I'm going to get it done, but does it have to be done today?
Yeah, that's good.
Does it have to be done today?
And that is a.
And do I have to be the one to do it?
I know you got on me about that a few months ago about the whole independency and wearing it as a banner and or wearing it as a badge, shall I say?
And not knowing how to ask for help.
Right. So that definitely is a part of self-care. Another thing I want you to talk about, you hit on it briefly when you talked about our mental health and how it affects so much of our mental health. And you know that's one of my big things that I wave in the air. But as it relates to self-care, how important is it for us to take care of our mental health as well?
It's extremely important. And, you know, on the podcast this year, first of all, I'm going to come back to that. But I want to say, when I launched the podcast last year, I had no idea when I launched that we were going to be in a pandemic. That was not.
Because it was supposed to be 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, actually, I was supposed to do this podcast in 2019.
Okay.
I knew I was supposed to do it in 2019, but I procrastinated. I didn't get it done. So when I did the self-care retreat, you know, we do the retreat every year in January. And so when I did the 2019 retreat, women were saying, you know, we need something in between this year, January, and next year, January, you know. So I was like, okay, I know I got to do this podcast. So I came home from the retreat and I said, I told my kids, I was like, I got to do this podcast. So John, you know, he said he would produce it and all of that. So they got on board with me. And so literally in a matter of like 6 weeks, we started preparing. Right. So that was in January. Well, we started recording for the podcast in February. We didn't really start hearing about this pandemic until the end. You know, we heard in January about somebody in Wuhan, China, then we started hearing in February that there was one person in the U.S. But by the time I marched in March, the first Monday in March was when I launched the podcast, and that was the same week that we heard that there were more people in the U.S. with COVID-19. Yeah. And so
that's right. On my birthday, you did.
Yeah.
Just to say.
Yes. On your birthday. Exactly. And so I had no idea but God knew.
Yes, absolutely.
So over this year, and I just wanted to back up to say that, but over this year, one of my first guests on the podcast was Dr. Anastasia Alvarado. Yeah. Which is, you know, my sister in love. And I'm Antoinette, she's Anastasia. We're both doctors. I'm a doctor of the church. She's a medical doctor. I tell people she writes prescriptions and I write sermons, and books. Okay. So I've had Dr. Anastasia is a staple to our self-care retreat that we do every year in January. She is on I told her, you always own at the retreat because they love her. Right. I mean, she is dynamic. But she was one of my first guests on the podcast. And since we've launched the podcast, I've had at least 4 or 5 mental health professionals on the podcast because it is so important. Yes. And especially I've had Dr. Anastasia Alvarado, I've had Tracy Barbie, clinical counselor. Yeah. I've had I've had my therapist on there, Felicia English White. I've had her on there, and I've had Dr. Sarah Williams on, who's also a clinical therapist, licensed clinical therapist, mental health professional. And so, yes, I've had several mental health professionals on the podcast because it is so important.
Right.
Our mental health is so important. And for us as women of color and people of color, it's been a taboo subject.
Absolutely.
In our community, in our church, you know, and as a pastor and as a theologian, you know, even some of the things that people come to church for and ask us for prayer for, you know, I believe in prayer. I'm a woman of prayer, and I believe in the word of God and all of that. But there are things that go beyond that we have to look into. And God has given gifts in the body.
Yes.
Jesus, one of the names for Jesus is Wonderful Counselor.
Yes.
And so
Jesus and a therapist.
You need Jesus and a therapist. And if you need medication, that's okay too.
Absolutely.
That's okay too.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, for those that know, some of us know, we have in our family, our middle son, Joshua, which is no secret. Joshua has a mental health diagnosed mental health illness, and that is being treated by medication and therapy. And we've been on that road with him since he was third grade? Yeah. Third grade was when we first when he got his first diagnosis. Yeah. And then when he hit 18 was when the bipolar showed up. Yeah. That part showed up. And so that's been, people don't realize the stuff Bishop and I have been through. Yeah. You know, the things we've been through with Joshua. And that road is, you know, mental health, it's not just hard on the person with the disease, it's hard on the families with those diseases. Right. So I identify so much with people with mental health illness because it's in my home. Right.
And it's also your best friend, you know.
Yeah, we talked about that when you were on the show. Right. We talked about depression. We talked about your depression and how you managed that with your medication. And I appreciated you being honest with us. And, you know, we've had our real girlfriend talks about that. Yeah. And I mean, it's you're taking medication for your depression is no different than me taking medication for my thyroid condition.
Absolutely. But that is definitely the place that we have to get. And particularly when we talk about taking care of ourselves, because it's not just, as you have taught us, is not just about one part of our being. It's from the head down.
And it's inside and out.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the chapters I talk about. In the book, there's a chapter called Go Inward.
Yes, yes.
And that chapter is about looking at us internally. Yeah. Because a lot of what we're experiencing, even in our physical health and mental health and all those things, it comes from a deep place. It comes from some places within.
Some trauma. So yes.
Stuff that we haven't processed. Yes. Things that we haven't named or looked at. And sometimes, being people of faith, we've over spiritualized.
Right. Because, and I think we over spiritualize a lot of things too, is because we don't know how to handle things outside of that. I do believe that as a people, we have some of the knowledge and empowerment behind it, we may have done better. But I also believe that was part of it, lack of knowledge as well. But okay, that's good. Now, my last 2 points I'm going to ask you about, or the first one being fitness.
Yeah,
damn.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it because you have me doing better, moving up the mountain.
Look at you. You joined a boot camp.
I joined a boot camp.
I was like, come on, Lucy.
And it was so, I told you, like, it was so good. It was working out, losing pounds, toning up, and then Christmas came.
Yeah.
He got cold. I was like, okay, any ho-hos in my mind. But I'm back on it. I'm back.
You're back.
I'm back. But you, consistent. I mean, just no matter what. I remember you saying before about you don't like getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, but when you set your mind on something, you get it done. So again, let's unpack that a little bit for that journey that are listening to us. Yeah.
Well, I am kind of a type A personality, so when I do set my mind to something, I tend to do it. That's just me. Okay, that's my little
you. That works for you, though.
It works for me.
It works.
Yes. So if it ain't broke, right. Okay, so consistency is the key. And I tell people all the time, the best exercise is the one you will do. Like, you know, you swim.
Yeah.
You like to swim. I'm not going to swim. That's not me. Y'all hear that? I'm not going to swim.
And Lord knows I've tried.
I'm not going to.
It's 3 feet, Toni.
And it used to be about, you know, my head.
Yeah, right. Now what is it?
And I'm just not doing that. I don't want to do that.
I still believe God, though. No, one day.
I don't like to swim. I don't want to put my head under the water except for to get a shampoo. That's it. And I get in the shower, and you know. But beyond that, I'm not doing all that. I'm not doing that. I got baptized, and I'm good. I'm good. So, but that's not me. That's just not what I like to do. So the best exercise I tell people is the one you will do. Right. So find what you like. And it's taken me years to find what I like. You know, and so I've had several trainers over the years, all good trainers. But I've worked out at different times. And I used to work out at 5 in the morning, get up and drive to the gym. But as I got older, 5 o'clock just is not as easy. Right. So now I work out at 7. Right. You know, and then some of that was out of necessity. I had to work out at 5 because the kids were smaller. Yes. And I was having to go to the gym to get back and get them ready and drive them to school. Well, I don't have that problem anymore, so I don't have to get up at old dark 40, 4 a.m. to go to the gym because But at that time, I used to say I was going to the gym at 5 because that was the only time in the day nobody was looking for me. Nobody cared where I was. Bishop was like, you all right? You good? You got your gun? All right. You got your gun? We good? Call me if you need me. That kind of stuff. Okay, the kids didn't need me. The church, nobody was calling me for the church. Wasn't nobody asking me to preach at 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, so 5 o'clock just worked. It was your time. But it was my time. But now it's 7. And that's based on where I am now. I was going to the gym, but COVID sent me home, and thanks be to God, I already had a home gym. So I came back home, and so I've done different things. And this year, over this last year, in 2020, I started hiking. Yeah. And I didn't realize how much I like hiking. I used to run, but I had foot surgery, so I can't run like I used to. So now I walk. So things change. Yeah. We change. So I'm not doing some of the things that I used to do, but I'm doing something. Right. And I'm doing new things, finding new things that I can do at this age, at 57, almost 58. But it's just consistency. Right. It's just making up in your mind that this is what you have to do. And I tell people, self-care is an investment in yourself. And so whatever that looks like for you, it's an investment. And it's everything from going to the gym, to going to the spa, to treating yourself to lunch, to sitting out on your deck, to sleeping or being in your pajamas all day, sleeping all day, whatever it is you need in that moment, take care of you in that time. It's everything from being honest with your spouse, for calling up your girlfriend like we've done with each other and say, hey, help me process something. I'm feeling something about something and I need you to, and being able to sit, when your friends say, have you considered maybe some of that's you and you looking at yourself and saying, you know what, some of that is me. Right. You know, so we've had those real conversations with each other. So that's self-care. It's so, it's all of that. Absolutely. And more. And so
let me ask you this while you said that. And this was my final point. Cultivating healthy relationships. Yes. You talk about that in the book. I think we are a quintessential model of a healthy relationship. We do have the advantage of having been with each other for 32 years. This year. Having our ups and downs and going through life. But I do believe that when we talk about self-care, you talk about it here, you've always talked about it. You've always, that's just been one of the things, you're a vanguard in terms of having healthy girlfriend relationships. Unpack that some more.
Well, I think healthy relationships are a part of self-care. And one of the things I say about relationships in general, Bishop and I did a book on a marriage book, and it's called Let's Stay Together, Relationship Strategies for Successful Marriages. And the relationship strategies that you employ in marriage they fit in all relationships. Okay. And so the quality of our lives can be summed up to the quality of our relationships. Yeah. That first relationship being with God. Yes. Yeah. And the relationship I have with myself, relationship I have with others, significant others in my life. My children, my family, my mother, my sisters. What is that relationship? What are those relationships looking like? And we have to work at relationships.
Yes. Yes.
It doesn't just happen just because we like each other or we're in the same space or we have commonalities. We have to work at
things change.
Because things change.
Yeah.
Things change. And we offend each other.
Yes.
We hurt each other, sometimes not knowingly, knowing that we're hurting each other. So forgiveness is a huge part of that. Transparency, honesty, you know, and really dealing with your stuff. Because what hinders a lot of times healthy relationships with women is that we don't deal with our stuff. Yeah. Yeah. You know, we can be jealous of each other. And all of us have a propensity. We, you know, and then this social media age.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You know, you're looking at other people's posts and you know, and just something rises up in you and it happens to everybody. I don't care how spiritual you think you are. Right. It happens. And so when those things happen, you got to be able to look at that stuff, call it out for what it is.
Name takes the strength out of it,
baby. Yeah. One of my favorite scriptures, and I can't remember exactly where it is, but it talks about not letting a root of bitterness spring up in your heart. And so when those things come up, you got to confess that. James says, confess your faults one to another that you might be healed. Absolutely. And so we got to find a place where we can confess things and get that stuff out so we can be healthy. Absolutely. And we can be whole and we can be good women internally, so that way we can have good relationships. So you got to ask yourself, what kind of friend, you know, when women say, well, I don't have friends. Well, then I ask you, what kind of friend are you?
What's going on with you?
What are you? Absolutely. What kind of friend are you? Because if you don't have friends, then that says something about you. Yeah. Absolutely. Not necessarily about everybody else. Right. It says something
about you're the common denominator.
Oh yes. Yeah. So I have friends, and I have friends that I have girlfriends in my phone right now that I can pick up and call that I have known literally all my life. Yep. Yeah. Hey, Janine, Felicia, we've been friends since 4th grade. And I'm not talking about just we know of each other. Right. I'm talking about we texting each other, we calling each other. My mama, your mama, my mama. Right. You know, mom's been sick with cancer. Yes. You know, that's their mom. I text them with mom, something going on with mom. We've been girlfriends since 4th grade. Girlfriends, sisters since 4th grade. One of my oldest friends in the world is Sunita Booker. We've been, as long as I've been alive, I've known Sunita. Wow. All my life, I've known Sunita. She's a year older than me. Yeah. We grew up at War Memorial Missionary Baptist Church, and we have been friends. I'm 57, she's 58. She might be 2 years older than me, but she's older than me. But we've been girlfriends. We call each other Bud. And we don't talk every day. We don't talk every week. We can go months without talking. But when we do, it's like we just pick back up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I got old friends. I got new friends. You know, Charmaine and Renee from my first college days when I was in nursing school. You know, and then I moved to Atlanta, and so now I got you and Tanya, and then you know Beverly, and you know then I got newer girlfriends. I got my preacher girlfriends. You know, preacher girlfriends. My preacher girlfriends, Dr. Sabrina Ellis and Dr. Wanda Parker. And you know, just a wealth of Melody Boone, and I can just call their names from all over the country. Harriet G. Wright, just all of them. We're not in the same city, but we're sister friends.
And you're intentional.
We're intentional.
You're intentional, and I think that is the key when it comes to relationships. And like you said, you don't have to talk every day to be intentional. You know, but it is intentional for when you cross my mind. Hello. Hi. Yeah. What you doing? You know, so that's again.
Women who do not have girlfriends are living an impoverished life.
Absolutely. I agree.
You're not living your best life.
I agree.
When you don't have girlfriends. And I tell married women, I don't care how wonderful your husband is. Yeah. Do not throw away your girlfriends. Yeah. Because your girlfriends are gonna be there. They'll talk to you when your husband don't feel like talking. I mean, he love you, but he wishing you would shut up.
Or he just doesn't know what you're talking about. That really
and he ain't interested.
He's like,
yeah. But can you talk to Roz about that? You know, Jonathan is my best friend.
He is.
I mean, I tell everybody I married my best friend, but I mean, there's just some things that I could talk to Roz about and my girlfriends about that he don't want to hear about. He's like, okay, all right, talk to your girlfriends about
that. But that goes back to harmonizing your life.
Harmonizing your life.
Yeah.
Having
putting everything in one place. So that definitely is awesome in that regard. Well, I'm just, again, so excited that we have had this opportunity and just really, Toni, this walk in life that God has put us together. I tell you, or maybe I don't tell you enough, how proud I am of you in terms of you just being able to just really do what God has put in you to do. And you always say, I'm going to die empty. And when I tell you, you are emptying out yourself, yes, because it is like I can count on. Okay, so what are you working on now? Where are you on that? So,
and I'm proud of you too. I'm proud of you because you have overcome some stuff.
Yeah,
you're a single mother. You've gone through divorce. You raised a beautiful son. I mean, we adore Trey, and then the things that you got coming up with the 50. What is it?
Fabulously Fierce and 50 plus.
Right, yeah. Right. So all of that and and then the voiceover work that you're doing, because you know you have the most lovely voiceover voice. And I'm just proud of you. And now you're on the self-care journey with me.
Yes.
Going to the mountain, although you whined the whole time.
I did not.
The whole time.
And when I go next week, I'm gonna still be whining. But I'll be there, honey. I'm going because it's just and the thing I want to say too about the exercise piece that you really, and I appreciate the fact that you didn't beat me up about it. You weren't talking about it. You were just doing you. And then I said, you know what? I gotta go and do likewise.
And it helped you with your depression.
Everything. Everything. When I got back Tuesday, I was sore here, but it's amazing
the
how
endorphins.
It opens your mind up and allows me to do other things that probably would not have been doing without the whole exercise movement. So so appreciate you for that and just bringing me alongside you. We are definitely Lucy and Ethel. I call her my partner in no crime. She doesn't do any of that job. I get it. Yeah, I'm the bad one. But I love you, and this is awesome. Again, do you say
1 year?
1 year.
Thank you for celebrating my 1 year anniversary of the podcast.
Time really goes by.
I couldn't believe it.
How many people have you had on the series?
Oh my God. Well, we've done how many episodes? Yeah, but we did March, April. And we did March, April, May, June. Then we took a break in July. Okay. Then we did August, September, October, November. So we've done we're in season 3 or season 2. We're in season 3. Season 3. And we drop a new episode every Monday. Yes. We drop a new episode every Monday. You can find us on Google, on Spotify, on Anchor. You can find us on YouTube. And y'all go to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel because then you'll get notifications every time we upload. Because now, when we came back with season 2, when we started, we were just audio. Okay. But when we came back with season 2, we went to video as well. So now you can watch the podcast as well as listen. And then we launched the Self-Care Network. Yes. In this year as well. Yes. And which I'm really excited about. We got about 80 women who have joined the network from all over the country. That's what I love about it. They're from California, North Carolina, Chicago. Baltimore, Maryland, Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, from all over. Yeah. And so and then we have the retreat that we started next year we're going to Aruba. Listen, we only have a couple rooms left, so if you want to go with us to Aruba, come on. Get in there. Because we really only have a few rooms left for Aruba. Awesome. I mean, the minute we opened it up, they were like, yes. Yeah. So
everybody, honey, we need Aruba now. We need that self-care workshop.
So we're going in January 2022 to Aruba, and that will be our 5th retreat. Wow. That will be our 5th. I started the retreats before I even started the podcast. So
the first one was here
at Stone Mountain, at Evergreen. And so so our 5th retreat is coming up next year. And I just believe God is I'll say this as we wrap up. I believe God has called me to start a movement of self-care, to change the narrative for women of color. We are number one in so many diseases,
Yep.
heart disease,
Yep.
different types of cancers, breast cancers,
Yeah.
Diabetes. And a lot of it is related to lifestyle.
It is.
And so I just believe that, you know, what good is it to have all these gifts, callings, dreams, visions, and die prematurely because we didn't take care of ourselves?
Absolutely.
And
or being mad at the medical profession because they're not doing their part. They're not researching about Black women, but we're not doing
our part. We're not studying,
right.
And then we're not doing what we need to do to stay healthy.
Do, right.
Because preventive medicine, is better than maintenance medicine.
Absolutely.
And so, and you're gonna pay one way or the other.
Yeah.
You're either gonna pay to be healthy, or you're gonna pay to be sick.
Yes.
You can pay for healthy food, a gym membership, a therapist, or you can pay for medication and co-pays and surgeries.
Right.
Either way, you're gonna pay, and the ultimate price you'll pay is your life. And so, and not just your life, but the life of your children, your community, your legacy, you know. And so that's important. So I believe part of my message, part of my ministry, I see this as ministry.
Absolutely.
I see this as a part of the ministry, the expansion of the ministry God has given me to not just preach the gospel to the poor and set the captives free through the preaching, but be a living example, teach, model, and bring others alongside me so that we really can be set free. Absolutely. In our emotions, in our mental health, in our financial life, in our relationships, and whatever area of our lives that we need to be set free in.
Awesome. Yes, yes. Preach, Dr. Toni. I love it. I love it.
You know you're going to get a little bit of that every
Amen.
time.
Yes, that's who you are.
That's who you are.
Oh, well, anyway, this has been awesome.
Thank you,
again, I appreciate the opportunity to ask you the questions tonight, and you being so candid and sharing with the audience tonight. I know this is just going to move beyond everything that we think because you are impacting so many lives. So, again, thanks for the opportunity. Thank you all for sharing and joining us. Like she said, continue to tune in because I know that over the next 12 months, the series is going to be, as the young folks say, well, they used to say, off the chain. So come on aboard and join the self-care movement. Harmonize your life with Dr. Toni Alvarado.
Hi, this is Dr. Toni Alvarado. I am so delighted about bringing the Harmonize Your Life podcast to you. Would you do me a favor? If you are enjoying this podcast, would you email me at hello@drtonyalvarado.com? I want to hear from you. I want your feedback. I want to know if there are any other topics that you are interested in as it relates to wellness, self-care, nutrition, or just overall bringing harmony into your life. Email me, contact me at hello@drtonyalvarado.com.